Thank you, Mr. Toastmaster. Fellow Toastmasters, I am the perfect example that school does not teach you life. Now let me explain. I am very good in classrooms. I grew up in Marin County and attended elementary school through the Ross Valley School District and excelled. I got to high school and did great. I got a 4.17, was salutatorian of my class, but I am very bad outside of the classroom. When I was a kid, I would grow up and for a long time my mom would buy me sweatshirts, and then she got tired of that and decided that the best place for her to shop was going to the Lost and Found, because half of it was always mine anyways. Probably the best example is when my family and two other families went up to the snow one year and got up very early, and I was the last one up. So I had to rush, jumped in the shower, got out, put on long johns, put on a sweatshirt, put on a jacket, put on my socks, put on my shoes, jumped in the car, and everyone said, "Yoshi, where are your pants?" So I had a tough time remembering stuff, and as a result, I had a tough time getting through an ordinary day. However, I learned all of these lessons when I went on a trip with my sister for 10 months volunteering. The first lesson was probably networking. Networking was huge because it allowed us to travel on a $6,000 budget for literally 10 months. So we got to Japan, where we had family friends that we could speak to. Those family friends knew people that lived in India that we could stay with. When we got to India, we went to a Buddhist teaching class, or silent meditation course, where we met someone who we could stay with for another couple weeks. When we went to Thailand, I met someone who I stayed with in England. Everywhere we went, it was important who you talked to, because they could very well know someone who could help you out in the future. Not to mention, it's great to talk to people as you travel. The second big thing I learned in Japan was communication. Now, I went to Japan knowing very, very little Japanese, even though I'm half Japanese and my sister speaks it almost fluently. So I relied on her for a lot, and the rest I just had to learn how to gesture to people in order to communicate. So one of the times that it was really clear that I needed to practice on defining exactly what I wanted was when I went to Starbucks. And in Japan, a lot of the words that you say, if you say it in a Japanesey way, it makes sense. For example, makudonados is McDonald's, hamburger is hamburger. So when I went in and I made an order, the last thing I said, which means in Japanese, "that's all," is "soredake," which they thought I said soy latte, and I got charged an extra $5 or $6. The third lesson I really learned was when I went to India, and that lesson was research. And of course, research was important the entire time, because finding cheap flights, finding places to stay, even networking, research is involved. However, the big time that it hit me in India was when I was in Varanasi, which is supposed to be one of the most holy places in India, which has this huge river flowing through it, and it is insanely hot in the summer. And of course, they have power that comes in and out, so it's kind of tough to get air conditioning. Not to mention, we're living on a budget, so the rooms we were staying in were $4 a night, and of course they don't have air conditioning anyways. But we were blessed one day for it to be a little bit cooler, and I had just finished a day of volunteering, teaching little kids, and I was in a great mood, walking along the street, and everywhere in India there are people asking for money. And on this particular day, there was this little, very cute boy who was coming up to me and asking me. And I had been told before to say no to these people, but he just looked so dear that I couldn't help it, and I had to buy him. I didn't want to give him money, so I decided to buy him something from a store to get him some food. So I asked him what he wanted, and he pointed something out, and I paid for it, and started walking away. And I realized I went the wrong way, so I turned around to come back, And all of a sudden, I see the kid at the same store giving the thing back for money and then pulling out money from his own pocket to buy something that he wanted. So that was definitely a lesson for me to research, because after doing that, I found out that this is something that's very, very common. That this is something that that happens more than you think, and that actually they do sometimes send kids away to get unusual procedures done on them because they don't want them to fit in with the other beggars. And if you've seen Slumdog Millionaire, they mention how blind beggars make triple as much. So that's definitely something very sad that I would have understood if I had done that kind of research. And I think coming back, all of these things helped me find the job. Networking was the first one that helped me find out who to talk to get myself into the door. Communication definitely helped me in the interview, because I was able to express my ideas and didn't confuse them about what I wanted and what they wanted. And third, I was really able to do my research and find out if this was going to be the perfect fit. And now I'm working at J.L. Franklin Wealth Planning, and I'm very happy working there.